Okay, I thought this could be a fun idea for a video. It's essentially a stolen idea for a video, which, if I ever take someone's idea, I'll want to give proper credit. This is actually a Nick Wright idea. He does this with basketball called Club Superstar. And I'm like, you know what? That's kind of fun. I should do a football version of that. So definitely check out his Club Superstar basketball video if you want to check that out. But yeah, I'm going to do the football version. So what am I doing here exactly? Well, I am going to name who I believe are the true superstars of the NFL. There's a lot of great players, but superstars is a little bit different. It doesn't necessarily mean these are going to be the 15 best players in football. It is kind of factoring in as well, like how much media attention you get. So, it's going to be easier for a quarterback to get in than for an offensive lineman to get in, and things of that nature. But yeah, let's get into the list. First, before we get into the 15, let's start off with the guys who just couldn't quite make the cut. 6 honorable mentions. It's funny that I started off by going, okay, let's just take all the guys who I just feel like have to make the list, and I ended up with more than the 15 I wanted. So that's that's unfortunately how it went. Also, I should clarify, I went with 15 instead of Nick Wright's 12 because football, there's more players. I wanted few more spots, so 15 there. But yeah, these are the guys who I considered but couldn't quite put on the list. AJ Brown and CeeDee Lamb are both incredible wide receivers, and CeeDee Lamb playing in Dallas does help his stock, but not quite enough to get him on the list. Penei Sewell was the one offensive lineman who I nearly put on the list. I think I would still take Jordan Mailata over Sewell, but Sewell was a premium draft pick as well, a really hyped up player in that regard, and just a very exciting player to watch. But again, just couldn't quite put him on the list just because of the offensive line thing doesn't quite get the attention. Nick Bosa, who again, surprised I couldn't put him on the list. Guy's won a defensive player of the year, but just couldn't find room. Pat Surtain and Kyle Hamilton, hard for defensive backs to fully get too much attention. They are great players, but yeah, Surtain, the reigning defensive player of the year, couldn't make the superstar list. Goes to show you just how many, how tough it is to make the list. So yeah, those are players that couldn't make the list. Let's start with just quarterbacks, because quarterbacks are obviously players that are going to have an easier time to make it, but I still feel like these 6 that I came up with deserve it. So first, the top 4 are kind of obvious, right? Mahomes, Lamar, Burrow, and Allen. You just got to put those 4 on the list, I think. I don't get how you could make unless you only wanted to have like 3 quarterbacks or something, it has to be some combination of those 4. I decided to go Jaden Daniels as well, who you could argue, is it too early? But I just thought he was so good last year. I think it's fair to already put him on the list. He was probably a top 5 quarterback last season, and I only assume he's going to just continue to get better and better. I'm going to put him in the superstar club here, and then Jalen Hurts, the final player, who... This is one you could maybe try and talk out of, but ultimately, the guy's made 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. He's played great in both Super Bowls, and he's won one of them, including winning Super Bowl MVP. I just think that's good enough to put him on the list. So, yeah, those are the 6 quarterbacks I decided to go with. So, okay, now there's only 9 spots remaining, so let's round out the offense. As I said, no offensive linemen. So these are the 4, 2 running backs and 2 receivers. No tight ends. Did not go with Travis Kelce. Did not go with George Kittle. Kittle could have made the honorable mentions list, but ultimately, I think these 4 feel like the correct 4. Saquon Barkley, again, was an MVP candidate. He won a Super Bowl, was a key part of winning the Super Bowl, and then Derrick Henry, who is maybe the best running back I've ever seen, and he's still playing at a super high level and a huge part of Baltimore's offense. I think it's fair to put him on the list as well. And then for the receivers, it's the 2 LSU guys, right? I mean, Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase both have the reputation now of guys who you just can't leave one-on-one, and honestly, you can't even double team because they can still find ways to win. So, yeah, I think these 4 for the receivers, or for the rest of the offense, I should say, feel fair. Now, so that's 10. Now let's get to the final 5. Let's talk defense here. These are the 5, 3 edge rushers, 1 interior guy, and 1 off-ball linebacker. No secondary players made the list, just because, again, it's hard to make the list as a secondary player. TJ Watt, who, again, I don't even know if he had his best season last year, and he still was in the Defensive Player of the Year discussion. As someone who didn't have his best year, that's pretty insane. Next up is Myles Garrett, who, again, those 2 are always getting compared to each other, both because they're the 2 best pass rushers of the past 10 years, but also because they play in the same division, so you have that extra rivalry there, and you can decide who you think should be 1 or who you think should be 2, but I think those guys are clearly 1 and 2, and I still went with Aiden Hutchinson in the list, which you could have argued, hey, is this too early for him? But listen, this guy was going to win Defensive Player of the Year before he got injured. He's an established player who, everyone thought should have gone first overall. He goes second overall, so he has kind of that buzz about him. I just feel like he belongs here. Chris Jones, who, again, on top of being the best interior defensive lineman and the second best of his generation, only because Aaron Donald was in his generation, that kind of prevented him from getting all pros that he maybe should have deserved if he was in a different era. So in addition to being like an easy first ballot Hall of Famer, he's also on the best team in football, consistently winning Super Bowls as well. So feels like it's pretty easy to keep him in the superstar list. And finally, Fred Warner, who, again, off-ball linebackers just don't quite get the attention that other players do, so maybe you could talk me into someone else making the list, but you know what? He's just so good. I think he deserves to be on the list. His consistent ability to, again, best coverage linebacker in football, and the way that he isn't just a good coverage player in terms of how he, what he does himself, but also how he helps everyone around him, right? Because they play a lot of zone coverage, and he can help out with that kind of thing. Because of that, I think he deserves 1 out of 15 spots here, and does play for the 49ers, who play in Super Bowls, every other year. So like that helps as well to to get that kind of attention. So yeah, those are my 15. Again, I was interested in seeing who could I see maybe falling off this next year and who could I see maybe climbing up the board. I think the running backs, just because they can fall off a cliff quickly given the position. So Barkley and Henry are candidates for falling off. Hurts, we'll see. He does great in the playoffs, but if he has a down year, maybe it could happen. And then, Chris Jones is getting up there in age, so there's that. Maybe if Hutchinson, doesn't have a good year coming off the injury, maybe there's that. But feel pretty good about these types of players. The guys coming in that could take it, again, some of the young quarterbacks, we'll see if they can do anything. Maybe Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter are able to break in. And then, again, could Surtain have such a good year that you just can't help put him on? Could CeeDee Lamb or A.J. Brown do that? Could Kyle Hamilton do that? It's certainly possible. But I feel actually pretty good about, like, this 15 feels like a good cutoff. I don't know. There's maybe 1 or 2 you could argue with. But again, hard to make a list like this. So let me know in the comments below, what do you agree with and what do you disagree with? Is there someone who you think I should have brought up? Maybe even someone I didn't bring up in the honorable mentions who should have made the list? And is there someone who just has no business being considered a superstar? Again, difference between star and superstar, right? A lot of great players, but these are the superstars. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.